Before time existed, before space took shape, before the first particle of matter floated in the void, God already was. But here arises a troubling question. If God created the universe, created light, time, space, and life, then who was he before creation? This question plunges us into a mystery that has baffled humanity since the beginning of time. It takes us to a frontier where reason meets the incomprehensible, where logical thought surrenders to the eternal. Our brains are designed to think in terms of beginnings and endings. Everything we know has a starting point. You were born one day. The sun rose this morning. Human history has a point of origin. But God has no beginning. And that is where the human mind collides with an invisible wall. We try to imagine it, but it is like asking an ant to understand the internet or a fish to grasp the concept of fire. We are trapped in time, while God exists beyond it. But then, what does this really mean? If time began with creation, then before creation, time did not exist. There was no before as we understand it. There was only a state that our minds cannot comprehend: absolute eternity. God was not waiting. He was not counting the seconds because seconds did not exist. He was not planning because the concepts of before and after had no meaning. He simply was. This leads us to an even deeper question. If God is eternal, if he was never created, why does he exist in the first place? Why is there something rather than nothing? Many have tried to answer this question. Scientists seek explanations in the Big Bang, in the laws of physics, in the multiverse theory. But here is the key point. Even atheists accept that something has always existed. Some believe it is energy. Others believe it is a quantum field. But at the core, everyone reaches the same conclusion. There must be an eternal reality that does not depend on anything else to exist. For believers, that eternal reality is God. Not a God who appeared out of nothing, but a God who has always been. Now then, if God existed before creation, if he existed before the universe, before time, and before matter, what was he doing? Was he thinking? Did he exist in solitude? Here we enter one of the deepest mysteries of theology. The Bible tells us that God is love. But love requires an object, someone to love. How can an eternal God be love if there was nothing else before creation? The answer lies in his nature. God is not a solitary being. He is a community within himself. The doctrine of the Trinity tells us that God is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Not three gods, but one God in three persons. Before the universe existed, love already existed because the Father loved the Son loved the Father, and the Holy Spirit was the expression of that love. This means that God was never alone. He never needed to create to fill a void. Creation was not a necessity but an act of love. God did not create us because he was bored. He did not create us because he felt lonely. He created us to share his glory, to invite others to experience his eternal love. And this is where everything becomes personal. If God existed before time, then his purpose for you also existed. Before you were born, he already knew you. Before the world was formed, he already had a plan for your life. This completely changes the way we see existence. You are not an accident. You are not the result of a cosmic coincidence. You were thought of from eternity. Look around you. Observe the precision of the universe, the way Earth is placed at the exact point to sustain life. The way your DNA is designed with unimaginable complexity. Do you really believe all of this is a product of chance? Science tells us that the odds of the universe coming into existence by mere chance are practically zero. The number of factors that had to align perfectly is so overwhelming that even some atheist scientists have concluded that there must be an intelligence behind it all. And that intelligence is not just an impersonal force. It is a being who thinks, who loves, who desires a relationship with you. Now, I want you to ask yourself a question. If God existed before time, if he planned your existence before creation, then what are you doing with the time he has given you? Every day you live is a gift. Every opportunity you have is part of a greater plan. Yet most people go through life without realizing it. They wake up, work, check their phones, get distracted, and never ask themselves why they are here. Today, God is reminding you that your life has a purpose. You are not here by accident. You are not just another number in the universe. You are part of an eternal story. If this message has resonated with you, don't ignore it. Reflect on it. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to keep exploring the greatest mysteries of existence, subscribe and turn on notifications. Leave me a comment. Do you believe God has always existed? How do you imagine his existence before creation? See you in the next video, and remember, the search for truth is just beginning.